Good afternoon, Chair Holvey, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Sean Cleve. I am the Government Affairs Director for the Oregon Association of Realtors. Thank you for bringing forward the three bills. For the record, currently, Oregon Association of Realtors is neutral on House Bill 2189, and we are in support of House Bill 2501 and House Joint Memorial 3. In 2016, the Appraisal Institute said that 62% of appraisers were 51 years or older, 24% are between 36 and 50, and only 13% currently are 35 years or younger. If we have a problem on a bottleneck right now, if something isn't done to address this, both on the education side and compensation side, I think the problem's going to get a lot worse.
I am a real estate professional. I've been involved with as an industry leader at the state, national, and local level as a realtor and part of the Realtors Association for many years. And in that capacity, last year, I was communicating with realtors all over the state, from Malheur County to Wallowa County, Klamath County, Clatsop County, Columbia County, and beyond the communication with those realtors and my own anecdotal experiences with my clients, I'm glad this conversation is being started. And I think that's the most important part of this. We do have a crisis here, that there are homeowners that are losing their homes because they're losing the opportunity to buy the house that they made an offer on and got accepted. What's happening, the competition is so stiff right now that I have to my clients put in a 45-day close. If we don't get that appraisal back in time to meet that closing point, there are multiple offers on some of these homes, and the sellers are deciding, well, you didn't do it in time, I'm going on to the next guy that had a $20,000 higher offer price than you. So it's actually being uncompetitive for buyers that are getting their offers accepted. And is it the appraisal industry's fault? No.
I'm here today to tell you the story about Jason and Shanna, a couple in their 20s who live in Tillamook with their son Jackson. Jason is a welder, Shanna is a stay-at-home mom. In late 2015, they reached out to me about finding a home for their family. They had found the perfect place. It needed a little bit of work, but it was on an acre of land, and it would allow them some space to have a garden and allow Jackson to play. Right after Christmas, we found out that Jason and Shanna's offer had been accepted, so we ordered the inspection, opened escrow, and Jason and Shanna began to imagine themselves in their dream home. Immediately upon hearing that we had an accepted offer, Jason and Shanna's loan originator ordered the appraisal. Since it was an FHA loan, we asked for 60 days to close, and FHA appraisals are more in-depth, require more work, and fewer appraisers will take them on. After all the other steps were complete, we waited for the appraisal to come back. And we waited. And we waited. After 35 days had passed, the lender contacted me and said that 5 appraisers had turned the work down. And in Tillamook County, 5 appraisers is the entire stock of appraisers, plus some. The lender had even offered a bonus above the standard $750 FHA fee appraisal. The lender asked me to track down some possible appraisers, reach out to anyone I thought could help. Finally, after 45 days of searching, we were able to get an appraiser from the Portland metro area who happened to be on vacation. They took the job. And if I might digress for just a moment, last year, around the same time, a client of mine paid $2,000 for a rush appraisal and was able to get that appraisal finished, completed, and delivered in 14 days. But that wasn't possible for Jason and Shanna. They didn't have the extra money. The appraisal was received finally received 5 days before we were scheduled to close. The appraisal had some conditions that needed to be addressed, so we requested a 5-day extension to finish the final disclosures and address concerns. But the seller refused. In the course of escrow, a full-price cash backup offer had come in. It was cash, so no appraisal would be needed. So there was no way to complete the required tasks in time. In order to protect Jason and Shanna's earnest money, we terminated the deal, and they were devastated. Jason and Shanna did everything right. They saved money for a down payment. They bought a home that needed fixing to keep their payments low and build more equity quickly. They maintained good credit and provided every document requested of them promptly. Yet because they weren't able to come up with an extra $2,000 for an appraisal, let alone $170,000 in cash, they lost out on their dream home. Today I ask you to consider the 2 bills in front of you to help people like Jason and Shanna. and help address this crisis, which disproportionately affects young, rural, and low-income Oregonians. Thank you.
I'm here to tell a story. Michael and Cecilia Britton have asked me to come here and tell this story. Now, this is a true story, and it started in April of 2016. They contacted an agent in my office and decided that they would put the home on the market, and also asked this agent to find them another home to replace the one that they decided to sell. At that point, in about the middle of May, concern began to grow on their side of the table because they hadn't been contacted by anyone to do this appraisal. We had advised them early on that this appraisal would probably take 6 to 8 weeks. You see, Klamath Falls has been under this for a couple of years now. Appraisals taking 90 to 120 days to get a site review. At that point, they started to become concerned. They came into my office, and their agent stuck his head into my office and said he'd like to have me meet with them in the conference room. When I walked in that room, it was obvious that there was a lot of stress in these two people. At that point, I said, well, let's call the lender and find out what's going on. We called the lender, and they said that day they had received three bids from 3 appraisers. The first appraiser could come right around the middle of July. We had advised them that we could try to close both of these about the middle of July. 65, 70 days out seemed logical. So what they said was, well, the first person would come right around the middle of July, but that was going to be $1,000. And they really couldn't pin that $1,000 down. It might be a little more than that. The second appraiser was going to come first part of August, which put them a couple of weeks past the sale of their home, for $750. And then the third appraiser, he could come in the middle of August for $500. At that point, Cecilia lost it. Stood up, tears in her eyes, went out the door and said, that's extortion, and then proceeded to go out into the hall. We got her back in the room, calmed her down, and eventually what took place was they closed their home on July 13th of that year, and then they had to pay the person that owned the home that they were trying to purchase an additional $950 so that they could occupy early. We closed that home on August 9th. The second home took 108 days to close. The first home took 97. These people went through a very stressful time in their life just to get this job done. Thank you.
I'm sure you can probably go back and remember when you bought your first home, how scary it was and yet exciting at the same time. Well, all of these things are being hurt by the fact that these appraisals are taking so long, and that these first-time home buyers and other buyers are having to spend so much money to get the appraisers, and we're just looking for a way to address that, and that's what this bill does.
At the end of the day, I think we all want the same thing. We want people to be able to engage in real estate transactions, buoyed with accurate information, prepared by professionals, get house transactions completed and property transactions completed, create more homeowners. And this is one of those things, as Representative Gahn very accurately characterized, that our economy is picking up, and it has created the dilemma that you all have before you.